Welcome, everyone. Let us understand what is expected as far as scarcity and the science of economics is concerned. It follows the fact that what we need to understand is the word called scarcity, something that is hard to find, or should I say, something that is not abundant, if scarcity is to be defined. Basically, that is what the problem with economics is all about. It something which is hard to find, or something which is not abundant. How do we maximize the utilization? So, not having enough resources to meet the needs of the people. Did I use the word called maximize the output or utilizations? That is what needs are all about here. Your requirement, your want, my requirement, my wants are unlimited, but then the resources are very scarce. So then economics is study how we try to satisfy unlimited, probably competing wants through careful use of relatively scarce resources. And that is what the science of economics is all about it. So needs and wants, look what we are looking into it. Something called an apple, which is required for survival, that's your need. Right, but what is your want is an iMac or an iPad or something which akin to Apple perhaps, which is just for entertainment. So, which is more important, survival or entertainment? Needs and want, but both at the same time are required and they are unlimited. So, we need to understand the needs and wants as accordingly. So the question is simple: if resources are limited and everything has a price tag, how are certain things free? The word is BOGO, buy one, get one. I am sure most of you have come across this particular marketing terminologies there is. So there are three basic questions that must be taken to, must be asked to, while dealing with scarcity. What to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce, and what does this means to you. So economic choices, look what we are looking into it, have a, a track of items already stored out here. So, what are goods? Goods are anything useful that probably we can touch. That is car, booking, clothes. Some goods are used to be finally consumed by us. These are called consumer goods. The end consumer is us. There is something called durable or non-durable. There's something called consumer goods. There's something called capital goods. Now, capital goods, probably you are staying in a house. That's an infrastructure, that's a property, that's a capital thing that you're looking into it. These have a lifespan of approximately 2 decades, probably 3 decades. So that's the capital good. It is being consumed, but eventually it will be consumed over a larger period of time. But what happens if it was an apple? Probably you are the end consumer and you will finish it within 3 minutes. Services, any work that is performed for someone. Consumers are when we use our goods and services to satisfy the needs and wants thereby. So, essential question: does scarcity create demand, or can I uh, can I reverse the statement? Demand creates scarcity. So, what is the problem, and how do people cope up with this problem? The choices the producer make. Think of our economy has been made up of two broad groups: the producers and the consumers. All of these producers have one thing in common. They use what economics would say is as factors of production. That's land, capital, labor, entrepreneur. So land is a gift of nature or a natural resources, absolutely not created by you and me, not created by people, probably by the Almighty. It is fixed in supply, it is limited in supply. So what can easily affect the prices of the natural resources such as oil, such as metal. You need to answer such question. Capital is where you're talking about capital goods. Did I use the word call your home as an infrastructure? Then there are large machineries which have a lifespan of, let's say, 10, 20, 30 years. These are your capital that we are looking out here. We're talking about capital goods, results for production makes it unique. Why this capital infrastructure? Because it is required to produce goods. It is required. You staying in a home, you have been an economic factor altogether as a labor, as a manpower. Don't you earn income? So that is what we are looking out here as a labor, includes every one of us except a unique group of individual called entrepreneur. whom we single out because of their special role in the economy. Entrepreneurs make uses labor to produce capital, to produce profit. So in terms of labor, we have quantities, we have qualities, birth rate, immigration, famine, war, diseases. This is what we are looking at. Here comes an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a person who is responsible for the much advancement in our economy and much advancement in our society per se. They are risk taker. Why? Because they are looking for profits. They are the driving forces of economy per se. So our economic choice is production possibilities. Everything that we make require four kinds of production. Even the service called education that I am providing it to you uses all those four production of four choices. Now, what are we looking at? Is PPC or production possibility curves? Now, production possibility curves are the frontiers that illustrates the combinations of output that comes around it. Illustrate every possible permutation and combination. A diagram that represents the various combination of goods and services an economy can produce when all its resources have been effectively utilized. This is PPC, production possibility curves as such. So we are talking about what economy says as the production possibility curve. Economic analysis says why can a production only take place inside this frontier? Because beyond this, it becomes a loss-making thing. Whatever you are producing, you are not able to sell, or the consumers are not eating it out, or not consuming at all. Here, there is a large possibilities of demand which you are not able to fulfill. But what are we looking into it? We are just able to fulfill the demand at different price point, perhaps. So this is the production possibility curves around here. And that is what we have been seeing about as an X and Y. Opportunities cost for consumer. The decision making grid also shows the opportunity cost of making a decision like buying a computer, perhaps buying a motorcycle. Which one is more important? One is for transportation, the other might be for education and entertainment. What would have been given a based on your decision? You need to answer those things. So opportunity cost for the consumers. Let's say if Alpha is producing 300 units of clothing representing a point A, and if it decides to produce the same amount of clothing at point C, what would be the opportunity cost? So which is going to give you more profit? I would love to say that way. So circular flow of economic activities is business incomes, the consumer spending. Remember, this is what we are looking into the business income. Why? Because business is making profit, making product, they are selling it out, and probably they are taking the money. The dollars are coming in. Similarly, the product and the individual, the products being consumed by the individual, right? So there is a goods and service, and there is a transaction around here. Four factors of productions that comes around here. The payment for resources. Why we are talking about payment for resources is your inputs, which is required for the business to process out goods or services, and the income from resources thereby. Our economic choices, what do you think happens when the circular flow becomes larger? This is one question that needs to be answered time and again. When a nation's productivity increases, we see an economic growth. Absolutely. So, what is productivity? Is the measure of amount of goods, the measure of amount of services that is produced within a given amount of time. It can be 90 days, it can be 180 days, it can be 365 days, namely quarterly, half yearly, or annually. So only increases through when more can be produced with the same amount of resources. So your input remains same, but the production improves. So instead of input being same, you are producing this, but can you increase the production and the output as big as possible? That is what we are looking forward towards it. Economic choices define human capital. We need to understand the sum of people's skills, ability, knowledge. The question is how the government or business can invest this human capital altogether. The government can provide education. The business can be looking for training and improving the skills of the worker. So our economic choices are very simple. We are talking about the divisions of labor, divisions which entails specialization, dividing the task into different parts. It can be caused to be tasks for completed and efficiently, deciding who can do the things better, who can specialize is also in a form of efficiency. Examples being plentiful. There are so many things. For example, you are producing farm products, farm output from a small piece of land. And believe me, the same output, if you can do it from a bigger pieces of land, twice, thrice, four times, or let's say 10 times the size of the land that you're working upon it, your production capacity will improve. Why? Because of economies of scales. So economic interdependence, we are as a dependent on other countries as they are on to us. How can this be good? Gains in productivity, the income that results from specialization almost always and is associated with the loss of self-sufficiency. With this, I come to an end of this video. Thank you for watching this.